Hi friends, good morning. I'm starting off the session today with my cup of coffee as usual. You may want to grab your cup and join me. So let me share my screen and first discuss what we're going to discuss today. So we're going to look at console class methods, a few of them, and then move on to talk about strings in greater detail. So that's the agenda for today. So let's start with the console class methods. So here we are. Let us first understand the difference between a console dot write line and a console dot write. So if I type console dot write line, please enter your name. All right. And then do a console dot read line. So what happens is when I run this, I get the cursor coming to the next line to take my input where I can type my name. So I don't want it that way. After the colon write on the same line, if I want the cursor to blink so that I can type my name, in that case, I should write console.write instead of console.write line. So here if you see, the cursor blinks on the same line and I can type my name. Obviously, nothing happens after that. I'm not capturing that input. So how do I capture that input? What I've typed, that is through console.read line, which actually returns a string value, and that can be captured in this fashion. String, let's say name, is equal to console.read line. Now, once I get this here, the typed content over here, then I can do something with it. Maybe I can type it back, console.write line. Well, after writing the line, cursor is going to go to the next line. Your name is plus and concatenating name. We're going to learn about this shortly. And then I want the cursor to remain, so console.read line. Let's see what happens. Right, I'm typing out my name. You see here, your name is Ramesh, next line. And the cursor comes to the next line because it's a console.write line which I use, not a console.write. All right, so that I hope clears what is the difference between console.write and write line. Now let us look at console.read line and read key and what is the difference between these two. Well, consider this. Well, I'm going to take this away. Hold on. All right. Now, I don't need this either. Okay. Now, when I run this, let me just run it and show you first. When I type my name and press enter, it puts my name here and then says, please enter to exit. So when I press enter, well, I've actually put a read line again after that. So let me just take off this additional read line and let's see what happens. Okay, I'm typing my name and press enter. Your name is Ramesh and press enter to exit. I press enter. I'm out of the application. So that is the purpose. That is one of the purpose for which you use a console.read key. So let's see how it actually works. Okay. Now a read key, console.read key returns the type console key info actually. Okay. So when I type console.read key, waits for one input, maybe the enter key, it could be some other key, and then it responds to that based on what you do with it. So what am I doing? I'm doing a console.read key. Well, it is reading the key that I'm pressing, dot key. Now what I'm doing here is I'm checking what is the key that I pressed. And if the key that I pressed is not equal to console key dot enter, if I press any key other than console key dot enter, that is the enter key, then the while loop, there's a loop, I'll come to loops in greater detail later. while loop is going to just, continue to execute. It's going to, there's nothing to do here. It's just going to remain within the loop. The moment I press the enter key, right? Console.key is, if it becomes equal to console key dot enter, then it comes out of the loop. Until such time, it will just keep looping, doing nothing. All right. So let us understand what is actually returned by, maybe what I'll do is, let's get the console dot read key here. Obviously, it cannot be stored into a string variable. It's going to be a console key info type. Okay, and let me call it as K. Right, it's K. Now, here the key you entered is, okay, plus. Now from here, console key info object K, from this I can extract the key that I typed by putting dot key. Okay, what I typed, dot to string, I'll just convert to string and then display what I have typed. Right. So I'm just typing, say, K, and shows the key and you entered is K. All right, I put a small letter key, it displays a capital letter, and then press enter, so it goes off. Well, if I want to display the small letter of the key that is pressed, then I can put dot to lower. Dot to lower. So what happens here is, let's now type, say, P here, and by typing small letter P, but it's returning a small letter P, not capital letter, because converting to lower and return. So basically what happens with the key is a single press. Just press one key and that pressed key is what is going to be returned. When you type console.read line, it waits for you to complete all your entries. Just keep typing. As long as you type, all those are captured. So key is a single key that is being captured, and read line will capture the entire set of alphabets or numbers or whatever you type and converts it to string. And in this case, it is not a string, it is a key info, console key info type, which can be converted to string by doing a k, whatever object name dot key dot to string. Okay, so that's some info on console class methods. Let us move on to string, which is quite an exciting topic. Well, strings. Within strings, we'll first start by looking at what is an escape sequence. So let me just clear up the screen from all these things. Right. Okay. So if I want to display something on the screen, and that something is, say, console.writeLine, please enter the path. Okay, so basically where my training videos are going to be stored. So that's the path I want to show. So here I'm going to capture into a string, say path is equal to, what do we do? Console.readLine, right? So console.readLine, I can do that. Okay, and console.writeLine path followed by well, maybe I can do this, what we just now used, right? Enter to exit. Let us use that. Okay. So let us run it first. Well, the path to be entered, C:// Okay, and I'm pressing enter, and it is returning the entire path /training/videos in this fashion. Okay, Now, in this case, what happens is it is just getting that entire thing as a string and returning that as the path that I want to enter. Now, supposing the C# code, when it's the console, it is all string. As I told you, it is just string without any special meanings. All that you type is a string that you're getting back when you do a console.readline. But in a C# code, if I am writing to, let's say I'm going to hard code a path. So I'm not going to use console.readline. I'm just going to hard code a string here saying C:/ training / videos. Okay. Now, when I do this, this has some special meanings. The backslash is not just a string, it's got some special meaning. So when I write this path, let's see what actually happens. It didn't print properly. The path that it is printing is raining some special character IDEOS. So it's not training videos, it's something else that's coming back. And that's simply because if you see here, this \t has a special meaning. The \v has a special meaning. So what actually happens is a \t is a tab. So I won't have the T of training displayed. So if I want to display that, I have to again put a T here. And then if I wanted the videos V to be displayed, I have to put a V here again. And then though with some imperfections, it will show the complete word training and videos, but with additional things for the backslash and that special characters. So what happens is this \t is, as I told you, a tab. So I'm going to remove this T, and I don't want this \t to be having any special meaning. It's just supposed to be C:/training. Then I put a double backslash. When I put a double backslash, that special character is removed, and it is just going to put training over. The same here for \v, double backslash. And now let us see what happens when I run it. It shows perfectly training videos. Okay. So what exactly is this backslash which I put a second backslash? That is the escape sequence. So there is a sequence, there is a special meaning for some of these combination keys like backslash and T is a tab, \v as some symbol, \r is a carriage return, \n is a new line. Let us try that new line thing also. Let's say I'll put here say training. Let us get the back special meanings here, back here. So training, and we'll call it as new, right? New. And inside that I have my videos. Okay. Now let us see what happens. See, it came to next line for the videos. The tab is put for \t, the special character for \v, but after that the new EW has come, but \n is gone. It has taken special meaning of a new line. So what comes after that is in a separate new line. So there are many such combination keys with special meanings. So I can just keep putting a double backslash to remove that special meaning for it. All right. Now this is going to come properly when I run it. Okay, it came properly training new videos. All right. So you can escape an escape sequence with a backslash. But there is another way to do it. I don't have to put so many backslashes. It's not convenient. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put an @ sign just before the string begins. So with that, I can remove all the special meanings there. It just prints properly. So that @ sign is basically the verbatim literal. So you get to use this when you put most often the path of a folder or something like that, or even the path to connection string and such things, where you can use escape sequence, backslash, or a verbatim literal to remove the special meanings of certain words. Okay. Now let's get to string concatenation and what it actually means. Let's remove this, and let's say I'm taking some input from the user. So I'm going to put console.writeLine, or write rather. Please enter your subject. So enter your subject, and let me capture this into a string subject is equal to console.readLine. So I'm capturing the value, and then a console.writeLine, a new line I need to get it. Please enter your name, and then string name equals so I got the console.readLine for both subject and name, and now I want to display it. So I'm going to put a console.writeLine, and here I can concatenate in this fashion: a plus name plus other string, maybe this comma, your subject is, and plus add subject. So this is basically what string concatenation does. You add strings together, either hard-coded strings like these, or even variables like this. You can add them all together with plus sign and then display. Let us see what happens now when we display it. Okay, so it says Ramesh, your subject is physics. Now this is not proper. The problem is here I have to remember to put a space after this A, and I have to remember to put a comma and a space, comma after that, and then a space after e's. If I forget these, let's say forget to put these things, these little tweaks. Let's see what happens then. Math Ramesh. See what happens here. Ramesh, there's no space, and then your subject is math. There's no space there, so it's not proper. You have to remember to not make these kind of mistakes. You can avoid this kind of error by doing it in a different way, using something called as placeholders. So the entire thing is going to be a string, and then I'm going to get the variables there. So it's going to be like this: hey, placeholder 0. Your subject is placeholder 1, and here I'm going to put name and subject comma separated. Right, now let us run it and see what happens. So as you saw here, it came properly, and it is easier to do this way. You won't make that kind of mistake which you initially had. So placeholder is the right way to do things. You have the index position 0 and 1, to which I'm giving comma separated in the same sequence the variable names, name and subject. So that is the use of placeholders in C#. We have seen escape sequence, verbatim literal, string concatenations, placeholder, and then there is a string builder class versus string, and what is the difference between these two. So let us quickly finish that before we wind up for today. So let's take off all this, right? And Okay, to understand the difference between a string builder and a string, we need to know the difference between a mutable and immutable object. Okay. So what is mutable? Let us look at the dictionary meaning of mutable and immutable. Liable to change. Mutable is something that is liable to change. All right. Like fashion is something that is mutable. It changes. Youth is said to be fickle and mutable. Okay. So immutable is something, therefore, that is not liable to change. Unchanging over time or unable to be changed is immutable. So what happens in C# is when you create a variable, let's say string name equals Ramesh. A string is immutable, which means once the variable is allocated with a value, right, then the variable is created and allocated a value. What actually happens is in random access memory, there is a space allocated for this variable. It's an address in RAM. So at that address, this value is placed. So after that, if I were to change the string, let's say name equal to name plus, I want to add something more, say my surname. What happens is, since string is immutable, this name variable which I'm changing now cannot store this new variable value at the old address in RAM. So what happens? In RAM, the string variable will create a new address, and in that new address, it will store the new value. So what happens to the old address? That becomes unused. So in case of string, this is what is happening because string is immutable. You cannot change once you create it. So newer addresses gets created each and every time, and that is not a good thing in RAM. So to avoid this issue, you can use something called string builder class. String builder, if you see, it is inside system.text namespace. I'll come to what is a class and what is the system.text or what is a namespace very soon. But just remember that this is the place where in the .NET framework library, that is a rack. You go to that particular rack to get your research material. So while string builder is a available code which is available at that particular rack, which is the rack under system text. Okay, so from there I'm picking it. So string builder class, I'm creating an instance of it, sp is equal to new string builder class, right? Now, instead of doing it in this fashion where the string is creating a new address in RAM with each concatenation I do, I don't want to do it like this. I'll use a string builder, and into this, I'm going to append my name Ramesh. Okay. So when I do this SB, this object of string builder class will get an address in RAM, and at that address, this name Ramesh is stored. Now, if I were to append to this further, right? In this case, I'm not going to have a new address in RAM getting created because string builder class is mutable. It can be changed. So at the same address, this new variable value with this additional surname gets stored. So that is why string builder is always preferable to be used when you do concatenations compared to a string. So if you look at this little write up here, if you see, it says it's been giving us a comparison between string builder and string. In garbage collected systems, C# is a garbage collected kind of system, has a garbage collected kind of system wherein all the unused memory spaces, when you do concatenation of string or some other variable declarations, when you don't have it being used, all those are actually memory pressures in RAM, right? You're having so many unused addresses. So what happens is this garbage collected system will go and remove all these or deallocate all these memory spaces so that it can be reused. So in a in case of a string concatenation, all these unused memory spaces that are getting created will have to be released, isn't it? So to release that, this garbage collection system has to run. It has to run and clear these spaces. So it has to run more often. When you have a string being concatenated, you'll have to run it more often to release these spaces. In case of string builder, it creates fewer temporary objects than string appends. Therefore, it doesn't add to this memory pressure. You don't have to run this garbage collection system more often when you're using string builder. Well, friends, that is the end of today's session. We have looked at some detail on some of these things like console dot write line, read key, and write, and also in some greater detail on string escape sequences, web atom literal, placeholders, and the difference between a string concatenations and the difference between string builder and a string usage. So I hope you found the session useful. Until next time, bye bye.